brothers and sisters, this amazing young lady I met just a short time ago, and I've already been amazed at what she is doing and what she's planning to do. So we had to have a special podcast to talk to you all about the work that she's doing, especially people that live in Chicago and people who live in Illinois. And she already touching people across the country. But I want to introduce to you Sister Ena Jones. How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure. So first, let's get right into it. Let's give us what you've been doing and what you intend to do with these businesses.
Okay, well, Roots and Vine Produce and Cafe is an emerging grocery chain that I'm the CEO. I sit in the CEO chair of. Um, and our goal is to create um, a chain of about 5,000 locations throughout the Midwest and the South, supporting small farmers, small food businesses, and truly eliminating food deserts. So our first location will soft open in Inglewood of Illinois, Inglewood, Chicago, this fall. We've already bought our second location in the Avalon Park community. We work with farmers all across the country. I also have a farm in Poland, Georgia, and we uh, we own over 60% of our supply chain in meat and in produce. So we grow mostly everything that we'll sell in our grocery stores. We know who our farmers are. And with Green Table Talks, it's our nonprofit arm where we help farmers create consumer packaged goods to sell in our grocery stores from ideation to maturity in order to help them increase their economic threshold. And so we help them create consumer packaged goods. We help them with food saving, product development, health and beauty product development, making teas and sauces and different things like that. Help them with barcoding where they not only be able to sell in our stores, but they'll be able to sell in any store with retail ready products that'll help them make more money because the farmers make more money and have more avenues in which to sell their harvest and more economic ways to sell to have their harvest, the more money they can make and the more that they can reinvest into their land and be able to keep their land. So it's a one hand wash the other, both hands wash the face kind of situation, um, because we can help even the smallest farmer. If most farmers don't have the capacity to um, um, grow for major retailers because they don't produce enough. So none of our stores will be more than 5,000 square feet. So if all they have is 10 cucumbers or one case of cucumbers or tomatoes or whatever, we can sell it. And if we can't sell it, we'll turn it into a product or we'll turn it into a one-time, spice or seasoning or whatever. We'll dehydrate it or preserve it somehow and turn it into something that we can sell as a local item. We have a commercial kitchen in Bridgeport, which is a GMP certified kitchen, with a walk-in refrigerator and free cold storage and dry storage in a kitchen. So we are equipped to help them in many different ways. Um, and one of the
Man,
goals that we are aiming for now is to purchase a 20-acre farm in Crete, in the Crete community, which is about 35 minutes outside of Chicago, so that we can have a training farm and a production facility, where the youth can come and farmers can come and
okay, hold on,
and do their
hold on,
product development.
man, hold on. Let's slow down for a minute because
Okay.
you are giving some amazing information right here about this vision, and I definitely want to get into this training program and the farm. But so now you gave us a little bit about the vision and what you're doing now. What man, how did you get into this? What tell us a little bit about your background and what because this vision you have is absolutely amazing. And I hear the productivity that you already gotten into it. So I know people may be thinking, man, sister, where did you come from? How did you even get this vision and this production happening?
You know what? It was definitely divine, I would say. My favorite nursery rhyme was the country mouse meet the city mouse, and I've been a Chicago girl my entire life. And but everywhere that I have ever lived, somebody had an urban garden near my home. And my granddad had a urban garden in the back of his home where he grew peanuts and sunflowers and greens and cabbages and things like that. And I was one of the only person he didn't have to drag to help him, you know. So, spring forward to 2005, I had a restaurant because I have my education is culinary arts. I have 2 degrees in culinary arts and 2 in business. And I was sitting in a restaurant that I had on 90th and Ashland, um, and I was reading about Hurricane Katrina. But in that same Tribune newspaper, it was talking about there are 72,000 farmers in Illinois. How many do you think are black? And the answer was 57. And that broke my heart. And out of all the things that was going on with Hurricane Katrina, reading about the plight of black farmers is what made me cry, you know, because not only have I been in food, just knowing all the history and things that they've been through. So I'm thinking, like, on my level, what can I do to help farmers in the situation that they in? Because, and I'm like, okay, I'm in food, I need food, but I have a restaurant. How can a restaurant help farmers? And so um, I'm like, well, the worst thing to do is to say you want to help people and you don't even know what they need. So at that time, I started planning and traveling and going across the country, meeting farmers, trying to understand what it was that they needed, you know, because people always say, just to give you an analogy, people say, I'm going to feed the homeless. The homeless ain't hungry, they don't have a home. So your intentions are good, but that's not where their need is. That's not their greatest need. So I didn't understand what a farmer's greatest need was because I didn't know the process.
Wow.
So as I'm trying to figure out, and then I'm like, okay, I'm in Chicago. What kind of businesses do they promote in Chicago? You know, on the level. And one of my caveats is that I've been self-employed my whole life, so I really don't know or have experience. You know, I had one job. My last job, I was 20 years old, and but even before then, I was still self-employed. I was self-employed when I had that job. You know, and so I really didn't have the experience of having knowing different processes and things like that, knowing the hierarchy, except for what I learned in school about about business structure and things like that. And I didn't know anything about a grocery store, you know. So I'm reading. So I went and I researched and I found the Chicago World Business Report, and it was over 1,000 pages. And I read it back and forth, you know, to figure out how can whatever I do impact Chicago as a whole and
Uh,
impact farmers, you know. So one of the things that I found out was that um, basically for Chicago to remain globally competitive, every neighborhood needs to do something. It needs to perform in a certain way, and then every community needs to perform in a certain way, and then every neighborhood needs to um, perform in a certain way. And then overall, those stair steps will allow the city to perform and stay globally competitive. So I have to identify where am I on that hierarchy of need, right? And I'm like, okay, but how can that also impact farmers and impact the community. So I'm like, okay, well, we need to open grocery stores because grocery store farmers have a lot of food. So I didn't know anything about grocery stores. So then I had to learn about the grocery business. So I reached out to executives with Jules and I reached out to executives with Dominic's and Aldi and had conversations and I did my own research, getting this magazine called the uh I still get it to this day too. It's all about groceries, right? And grocery stores and executives and chains and all of that. So I'm reading and I realized that grocery stores don't make money on grocery. They real estate companies. Then I
Right.
had to think of if we got grocery stores, then, because I try my best to address all the problems first, think of all the negatives and all the problems, and then try to find a solution to the problem. And then I was like, okay, we still got all these grocery stores. Why are there still food deserts? Why still people don't have access to food? And not only did I learn is it systematic, and deliberate, it's
Mm,
also the fact that, grocery stores don't make money on grocery. They're real estate companies, and they rent shelf space. So I had to realize all of these things. Then it's like, okay, well, the small stores that do exist that we don't own, you know, these small foreign owned neighborhood um, snack shops because that's all they are. They don't really sell food. They sell food like products, right?
right.
And then they'll go to Aldi and stock up on stuff from Aldi and resell it to us at a premium, because we don't have access. So how can we get stop doing that? So then it's like, okay, I need to open community stores, small grocery stores. Then it's like, okay, why do smaller grocery stores have a higher price point than regular grocery stores? Okay, because I had to learn they purchase in volume, right? So if they purchase in volume and a small grocery store won't be able to hold all of that volume, um, what do we need? So then I'm doing my history, doing my homework with that, and found out that most of these grocery stores, their price point is higher. One, they can't get distribution because they don't have a dock, you know, and then they
Right.
also
Right.
they can't buy enough to get the discounts to be
Uh-huh.
able to be competitive, right? So while if you can buy 100 brooms, if you can only fit 10 brooms in your store, but you can only get a discount if you get 100 brooms, right? So you need a space to hold the 100 brooms if you have a small store. And so I'm like, okay, I have to see about that. So I got a warehouse, I got a dock, I got cold storage, I got, dry storage, I got a kitchen so that we can make sure that the farmers can turn their product into their harvest into a product. So some of it we can sell, some of it we can turn into product, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and I'm doing all of this and doing all it, doing this homework and figuring out, and at the same time, still traveling and meeting farmers and knowing and understanding what their needs are and what is changing. And so then I developed a nonprofit so that I can do this outreach um and be able to raise money and be able to help facilitate these programs with farmers and offer them some technical assistance. And the average farmer is 65 years old. So what can I do to encourage youth farmers? And
Right.
they need to see how money can be made. Right. So
Right.
one of the ways that money can be made is for them to help them make their own seasoning, help them make their own frozen food lines, help them make their own sauces and things like that. And try to encourage the next Nabisco, the next Kraft, the next, major grocery chain or major grocery distribution company or food manufacturer. And so that has been my focus, and it's a lot of moving parts, Um, but it's necessary. And when I started doing this, nobody was doing it. Now that I'm doing it, everybody's trying to do it, in one way or another. And it has been so many challenges trying to do something on this level, because my goal is not to have one store. Our goal is to have a minimum of 5,000 stores. So it takes time, and it takes energy, and it takes strategy, and it takes trust in people, which is another challenge altogether that I have, faced, because I've had people to steal parts of my vision and go off and raise millions of dollars. Um and when I'm making when I'm doing everything out of my pocket, when I'm making the money, raising the money, and buying my whole building, and then renovating my whole building, and nothing that I do is under $10,000. you know so but I'm my saving grace is, no matter what anybody else tries to do, it's not going to be like what I'm going to do.
So tell us about the farm and what you need to get that secured.
So we're experiencing some discrimination with Farm Service Agency. Um and I meet all the qualifications, but they just found any reason to deny my application, and which really wasn't a denial. She pretty much waited until um this new presidential administration um, defunded the program, but it's since been reinstated, the farm loan program, and it's since been reinstated. But so I have a hearing on Tuesday, actually, but right now we're trying to raise the money just in case. And this we have to raise another $600,000 to square away this 20-acre farm, and production building, where we intend to not only host classes and retreats and things like that, but we want to raise chicken, and for it to have hyper local produce and eggs, and have chicken, farm fresh chicken, on in our stores, that we know and control, and we know what they eat, and know what they produce, and and encourage the community to have a space for the community to be able to come and get the right kind of experience and knowledge that they need to have, and an extension to other urban gardens, so we can do a lot on this property in 20 acres, that will be greatly beneficial to the community. But for the most part, we want to provide some hyper local fresh produce in our stores.
Man, this is amazing. So what I know you talked a little bit about some of the barriers, but talk about you are a true leader in this area, and what's been some of the pluses and the minuses of being a Black woman entrepreneur, and how people receive you.
Well, for one, people, being a farmer and getting to know farmers is a true challenge, because this is why a lot of people don't know many farmers, because they want to feel like family, especially Black farmers. They want to know you. They don't do a lot of things online. They don't do a lot of things by email, none of that. So getting out and actually meeting farmers and building relationships was vitally important, and that was one of the things I was successful in doing, because you have to have some kind of emotional intelligence, and not think that everything evolves around you and your good idea. Um, and because I need these people for the success of Roots and Vine. I need to build great relationships with, and build trust with each other, because I'm not standing there, watching you. I want to make sure that we getting a quality product, and you're going to get quality payment, you know, for what you're giving us, and in turn the community is getting high quality produce. So it's beneficial in all aspects, that you And the more relationships we build with these farmers, and the more things we can ask them to grow, the more they can expand themselves, and we can expand our offering, and we know where our food is coming from. That's the main thing about it.
Man, talk about that a little bit more. When you say it to certain people, it's clear. Yes, we need to understand where our food is coming from and get the best food possible. And of course, if it's coming from people that look like you, there's an added sense of trust and value there. But for the people who just like, look, I can hit all these, I can hit the grocery store, I can get me this box of crackers, I can get, all these packaged foods, talk about the importance of us controlling and having a say so in our
Yeah,
food chain.
yeah. Anybody that feeds you can control you. And if they can control you, they control your health. And if they control your health, they control your family's health. You know, because we are what we eat. That will never change. That is something that is a constant. We are what we eat. And if you know who's growing your food and raising your food, you don't you that's a better sense of community. Um, and how can you complain or cry about what black farmers are going through, or say you care what they're going through, if you don't make the effort to support them? There'll
Right, that's
never
right.
be no more land. There'll never be no more, no less land. And we have a lot of land in our family. I know so many people who can identify family members who have acres and acres of land, but it's not in production. And it's not in production because they don't have the relationships that they need in order to make sure that the land is producing. Because they can't grow for Walmart, they can't grow for these big box stores because they can't produce enough. And then a lot of them are not and
So you
then
think
another,
Ena
they
knows?
don't want to be locked into these contracts, because if you grew, say, Walmart hired you to grow potatoes. They say, okay, we want you to grow 10 pounds of potatoes for us, 10 pounds of red potatoes, 10 pounds of russet potatoes, 10 pounds, so we can put it in 100 stores, right? But if you are a good farmer, you're a great farmer, and you grow 12 pounds of each, you know, you have to destroy that extra pound. You can't put it into the
Can't put
marketplace
it nowhere else in the market. Wow.
because you under contract. A lot of farmers don't want to be locked into those contracts because basically they damn near sharecropping contracts. They really not making much money. So it doesn't it's best that I don't have my land in production and do a few things, just do something small to make sure I can
Wait a
pay
minute.
my taxes.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm understanding clearly too. And I don't know if you hit this point. If it is a point. So you get a contract with a big company, and then of course they ask in it for 10 pounds, but are they gonna pay you market value, or are they giving you even less than what you would receive if you wholesale it to a smaller place or sold it retail, right?
Most
So
of the time they giving you less than market rate.
you already selling it at less than market rate just to have that contract.
Right.
Then if you grow extra, you can't even get out there to make more money to
No.
offset what you may need to run the farm anyway.
No, or in order to make sure that you up. You can't turn it into another product. You can't do anything because under contract it belongs to them. And they want you to destroy any overage. You can't
Wow.
sell it
Wow, that's wild. That is.
because they know how much needs to be in the marketplace. They know they control the marketplace. They know exactly how much food, and they can predict how much. So if they say, we're going to pay you not to grow your avocados this year, don't grow any avocados. We'll give you, $5,000 just not to grow your
Not to grow.
avocados this year, so that we can control the market. So next year, it won't be that many avocados in the marketplace. And then the demand will go up, and now we can have a premium. We need avocados to be $5 each this year, not two.
So, what, a couple years ago, I know they were talking about it was a shortage in chicken wings.
Hmm.
It's that kind of concept. They just halting the production.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man,
Not putting it out into the marketplace because this the thing. Even if you hear now, just think of this in reality, okay? Even if they said 1 million chickens died on Ena's farm, you know, this year, 1 million chickens died, right? That is not a lot of chicken. Chicago itself got 3 million people in the city of Chicago, right?
yeah,
I bet you 1/3 of us eat chicken at least every day, probably twice a day.
right,
We only talking about Chicago. We not talking about Harvey. We not talking about Maywood. We not talking about nowhere outside of Chicago. Just in Chicago. Now just think, Inglewood has a population of 69,000 people. You know, so that's just Inglewood. That's just one out of the 77 zip codes. I mean 77 neighborhoods, right?
right,
So that's so when you're talking about 1 million chicken, then that's not really a lot of chicken. It's unfortunate, but that's still not a lot of chicken, you know. So um when we think of how many, chicken, if they some kind of, and it sounds like a big number to somebody who doesn't farm
right, right.
and who's not a food producer, you know, excuse me. Even if they said um um 200,000 cows died. That's not a lot of cows.
Right,
That's a lot. Yes, that's a lot of meat, but that's probably one day's supply for one state.
right, right. One day. So tell us again, tell us what you need the community to do to help in this effort for you to secure this farm.
Well, we're not asking for a handout. One of the products that we developed that I've been making for over 20 years is our body butter, our shea butter. And it's herbal based, 100% natural, chemical free, and dye free. And we are selling a 5 jar bundle for $125. And we need to sell 5,000 units in order to purchase this farm.
How can people
So
purchase?
they can go on greentabletalk.org, which is our nonprofit, greentabletalk with .org.
Green Table Talk. Y'all
Yes,
heard that
greentabletalk.org, and purchase a bundle. And give us 4 to 6 weeks to get it all out. Once we raise all the money, all the orders will go out, and and we can secure the farm that way, and that will make it beneficial to us because we'll own the farm outright, and then we'll open ourselves. We won't have to be at the mercy of FSA and the discrimination that we are experiencing with them.
man. And if those who don't know, the reality and the truth of the matter is that Miss Ena Jones incident and situation is not isolated. There's a long history of discriminatory practices with USDA and that part of it, which is FSA. There's been lawsuits. People have won lawsuits. Matter of fact, there was, I think, a class action lawsuit, and there was supposed to be a lot of money given to Black farmers. But you mentioned that age situation. Some of them were already up in age, and they didn't get the money before that they were supposed to get from the government before they passed on.
Yeah.
And so this is a real situation, and we, with this current administration, obviously, there's less and less that's been going out. So we have to be able to figure out ways to support people who are doing something that is helping the whole. And this is what you're doing here. And I love the fact that you're talking about a way people can support. where the support itself is an even exchange. You giving them a product for their support.
Yeah.
Are you not
And I
asking
know
them?
we have 5,000 people who can buy $125 product and help us to be food, help our community be food sovereign,
That's right.
because this is not a selfish ulterior motive. This is to secure the legacy of our future for our children, for our kids, and hold me accountable. I don't mind at all. Hold me accountable. This is not just for me. If you are capable, you're responsible. And I feel like if I'm knowledgeable, I'm responsible to do whatever I can in my corner of the world to help the people in my corner of the world best I can. I can't save the whole world, but I can definitely create an atmosphere where it's um um effective and reputable.
And talked a little bit, of course, about the training opportunities and bringing youth in. And your son works with you, and he helps with the business and the farming. Talk a little bit more about the training opportunities for young people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our goal, we have our future food producer program, and we help students create, not only learn where food come from, because we have an urban garden supported by CYDI school, alternative school on 78th and Union, and we have a urban garden on 77th and Halsted where we train, youth how to grow food and then create a product out of what they produce. So this past summer, we had them grow some potatoes, and then they um, were making their own hot chips. We showed them how to make their own powder, hot chips, make their own packaging and things like that. My
Wow.
son has his own cookie business. He owns Boss Man Cookies. And so twice a month he sells his cookies, because he's a student. um and then he's a senior this year, so hopefully he'll broaden that, and take that business up another notch, because he's also a basketball player. Nothing gets in front of basketball.
Hooper, he
you
a
know
hooper.
yeah, not even money. He take that basketball serious as ever,
That's what's
and I don't mind at all. But so our goal is to really introduce children, our youth, and because everybody loves to, a lot of people love to cook in one way, shape, form, or fashion. And I used to want to be a food and product developer for a company, but I didn't know how to go get a job doing that. I didn't know. Nobody that I knew was in food and product development who made food for grocery stores, who made the food we buy. So it's my goal to help usher in more food in the supply chain that's culturally relevant to us, and not just food that we got to take what we can get. It would be so I own Sunday Southern Sides, which is a frozen food brand that we are launching with the opening of our grocery store. And it's a lot of culturally relevant side dishes. So there's greens and sweet potatoes, and it's family size 48-ounce containers of, red beans and rice, black eyed peas, and we know the farmers who grow these beans. We know the farmer who grow our onions. We know the farmers who grow our sweet potatoes and our white potatoes. We know them. We talk to them. We know what they're putting on and what they're not spraying them with, and that's the kind of food that we want to sell in our stores.
right.
So our goal is to kind of be the quote unquote Whole Foods of the hood.
I like that. Whole food of the hood. Man, beautiful. So I thank you so much for sharing with us. Is there anything we didn't cover?
I'm pretty sure it is, because this is a very deep conversation when you get around talking
It
about
is.
food. It can go in a lot of different directions, but I appreciate your support and getting what we're doing out to your listeners and your the people that and your connections and your network. I definitely appreciate that, and building a great relationship so that we can know each other, know what each other do, and I can support what you're doing also.
Absolutely. So this is part one. Then we're gonna do this again. We're gonna
Okay,
put
yeah,
this one
it can
together
get deep,
and put it out
yes,
there.
because all this stuff that's going on with this food is crazy. It is, and we have to
It
get
is.
control over our food. We have to. It's not even a tomorrow type of thing. It's a yesterday. This is a yesterday
Yep.
action. Is what it should have been done long ago. And we have to support our
Yep.
other local farmers, our urban farmers. We have to buy from them. We have to encourage them, and we looking for sponsors also for a station on WVON so we can have our own Black agricultural radio station.
Man, beautiful. We love what you're doing. Black Chicago East wants to, whatever we can do to amplify what the work that you're doing and help support it. Take it.
I'm looking for support. I want support because I am support. You know,
Yes.
and supporting other people's visions and making sure that our families can eat. Make sure figuratively, and otherwise. I want to make sure that we can eat and our farmers can keep their land, keep their and produce more and grow more and get more into the supply chain, and that in a way that we don't affect nobody else what they doing because it's not our concern.